Good evening, lacrosse. Welcome to Sports Scene 2.0. My name is Kalon Bell, and I'm joined alongside three of the finest analysts in the business. Right to my left, we have Brady Mollon, Oshkosh born, very proud.
Very proud.
Next to him, we have Matt Gutzman, otherwise known as Desiel.
Yes, sir.
And next to him, we have Scott Dellemann, the man with no nickname. How are we all doing today?
Doing good.
Ready to talk some sports?
I'm ready.
Sir.
I got some nice topics for you all, and I'll give you the points as I see fit.
Sounds good.
I'm in control of this. All right, here we go. So, first up, we have the Packers versus the Vikings. Last Thursday night, the Packers absolutely dismantled the Vikings, and, you know, it was a score of 42-10. It wasn't close any point in the game, 28-0 at halftime. I mean, what did you take away from this game? Was this more of a statement about the Packers or how bad the Vikings really are? We'll start with you, Brady.
I'd have to say it was definitely more of a showing for the Packers than anything. It showed that they have the potential to be one of the top teams in the division and in the NFL, and that when they get things going, they're the best team in the division.
I agree. I think this shows that the Packers can dominate the team defensively is what I took away from this game. You know, Julius Peppers had the pick six. You know, welcome Lambeau leap to Green Bay. LaTroy Guyan against his old team with 1.5 sacks. Nick Perry showed up to play with 2 sacks this game. You know, it's the first time in 3 years he's showed up to play. So, yeah, it was good to see the defense play this game.
It is definitely the Packers for me, too. Our defense really showed up, and it's the Vikings, so that's one thing to consider. But the fact that our offense could make use of those turnovers really shows that we are doing something good there.
Yeah, well, I mean, Aaron Rodgers reaches 200 touchdown passes for his career. And, you know, I know the big rivalry in this region, Packers versus Vikings. I'm sure a lot of Packers fans are looking forward to the next matchup versus the Vikings as well. How did you feel about the running game in this game? I know it was kind of lacking the first few games here, but
I personally saw it coming. I figured Eddie Lacy was going to have a breakout game eventually, and why not against the Vikings? They didn't really have a good run defense, so I saw it coming.
I agree. They needed this to be this week. You know, the run game has been down for the first 3 weeks of the season against the Jets, Seahawks, Lions. They couldn't run the ball at all. And, you know, Eddie Lacy, this is a confidence builder for him, and I only think he goes up from here and, you know, gets back to that 1,000-yard season like he had in his rookie year, offensive rookie MVP, and it just opens up a lot more for Aaron Rodgers to throw to Jordy Nelson and Randall Cobb.
I mean, he had a few good hits on some of those Vikings defensive backs. I mean, it was sick.
Yeah, it's definitely something that we need. It really, really opens up the pass game for us with all the play action that we can do. Just moving on.
Yeah, I mean, that was a cutoff for you.
Stop talking.
Clearly that's the bell, and we're moving on to our next topic. This past weekend was record breakers for some of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. 2 specifically, in Peyton Manning and Tom Brady. Peyton Manning passes the 500 touchdown threshold. He has 503, 5 behind Brett Favre for most of all time. And also Tom Brady, he surpassed 50,000 total passing yards this week as well. So, taking a look at their entire careers, I know this is a hot topic. Would you take Brady or Manning's career? We can start with you, Scott.
I'd have to go with Brady on this one. Basically because you just have to look at his playoff record. He's 18-7, 87.2 passer rating, which is a little lower than Manning's. However, Manning is only 10-11 with his playoff record and only has 1 Super Bowl ring and 2 appearances, while Brady has 3 and 5 appearances.
Only 1 Super Bowl. I wish I had a Super Bowl ring. Go ahead, Matt.
I'm taking Peyton Manning on this one because of his regular season. I mean, he has 5 MVPs after last year's, and no one else has that compared. Tom Brady only has 2. You know, Super Bowls, you can say Tom Brady has more. Well, he has a losing record in the Super Bowl, too, so it's not really that impressive anymore. You know, he's 3 and he's been there 5 times. I guess I lied. He was 3-2 in 3-2 records for Super Bowls
3-2,
compared to.
that's
But, you know, Tom Brady, or Peyton Manning, my bad, has 500 touchdowns now, and there's only been one other player in the NFL history to do that, and that's Brett Favre, which Peyton Manning will probably break in about 2 weeks. And he's literally going to break every passing statistic and be number one. I think you have to take him.
Quick word.
I think Peyton Manning is the best quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, Manning is over 16,000 more passing yards in his career than Brady does. Of course, he has 2 less Super Bowl rings, and his brother might be making up a little bit for that, for the Manning family at least. Moving on to our next topic, we have the Major League Baseball playoffs. I know they're kicking into gear here. We have 2 games tonight. Of course, we had the Baltimore Orioles dismantling the Detroit Tigers earlier in the AL, and also Kansas City getting rid of the Los Angeles Angels. But we have 2 games in the NL tonight. San Francisco playing Washington, and they lead the Washington 2-1. And then we also have Los Angeles playing St. Louis. St. Louis is up in that series 2-1. So we got to pick them. Who do you got in each game tonight? We'll start with you, Brady.
If I'm going for my picks, for the St. Louis game, I would have to go with St. Louis. I think they're just a better team. They're riding kind of a hot streak off these last 2 wins. And then with the Nats-Giants game, I'm going to go with the Nationals. I think they're going to get it back, tied the series, and bring it back home, I believe it is, to take the series overall.
I'm going to go with the Dodgers in the first game against the Cardinals. Clayton Kershaw's on the mound. He hasn't been performing too well as of yet. You know, my arch nemesis, Skip Bayless, is calling him Peyton Kershaw, unable to perform in the big time, but he's going to get it done tonight. And Gio Gonzalez is going for the Nationals tonight, so I'm picking the Nationals. I think he's going to have a big game. Bryce Harper's going to step up tonight. I think there's too many offensive weapons.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go with the Cardinals because Kershaw has not been pitching as well as he has in the regular season, and that's really going to cause problems for the Dodgers and the Cardinals to clinch the series. As far as the Giants and Nationals go, I have the Giants winning this one as well. They've just been playing really well. Their starting pitching has been doing exceptional, and that's why they're going to win tonight.
I mean, if you're the Dodgers, you wouldn't really want anybody else on the mound besides Clayton Kershaw. I know he had a difficult first game, but I mean, if I had someone to take the mound tonight, I mean, I would definitely want Kershaw there. And even the fact that the Dodgers, I mean, they had a pretty good record throughout the regular season. So, I mean, there should be some pretty good games tonight, and we'll see how that works out.
It definitely won't be a blowout. I
don't think anyone's running away with it tonight.
Yeah, for sure.
Certainly. All right, so moving on, we actually beat the bell there, which is nice. We're doing a good job. We can move on to, I mean, a crazy weekend in college football. 5 of the top 8 teams go down this week. I mean, I was watching from the beginning of the day till night, even starting on Thursday, we had some teams go down. So I must ask, what were some of the biggest surprises this weekend of these top teams that went down? We can start with Scott.
I'd have to give it to Bama and Ole Mississippi. It was a close game, but I didn't think that, Bama could get beat.
I'm going to go with the Oregon-Arizona upset. Arizona upsetting Oregon. Anu Solomon, torched that Oregon defense. My boy Scooby Wright, causing that fumble at the end of Marcus Mariota, the Heisman favorite. I mean, almost played himself out because of that fumble. He's got to win the big time if he wants to play. And, Dak Prescott, who plays for Mississippi State, upsetting Texas A&M this week, has almost played himself into that front runner for the Heisman because of his competition that he's been playing. And Mississippi State's rolling right now.
I think adding on to what Desiel said there with the Mississippi State, actually, I think that was a pretty big upset for me. How he said Prescott, he looks really, really good. He's not just some normal quarterback. He looks like he's the type of guy who's going to win the Heisman, if anything. He has control over his whole team, and he has control over the entire game. I really think that them beating Texas A&M was a surprise for me because everybody was riding the momentum of Kenny Trill, of how he wants to call himself now, otherwise known as Kenny Hill. So I think that was a really big surprise.
I mean, the SEC seems to get tougher and tougher every single year. I mean, Ole Miss and Mississippi State, I mean, rising the ranks even this year. It's like, I don't know how any team, I mean, Alabama is, I mean, stocked with talent. Amari Cooper, probably the best receiver in the country, and it's even difficult for them to get through the regular season.
Nobody's safe. Nobody's safe.
Yeah, nobody's safe. I mean, and the thing is, with the new BCF playoff system, this year couldn't have made it harder on them. Because, I mean, there's no 4 teams that have labeled themselves as the best 4 teams in the nation, outside of maybe Florida State, because they play in a weaker conference in the ACC. So they're just going to roll through the ACC. But the SEC's just beating themselves up every game, and you don't know who the top team is yet there. I mean, you can say it's Ole Miss or Mississippi State, but they still have to play other ranked teams, and I believe they still have to play each other later on in the season. And, I mean, good for Mississippi having the greatest weekend in college football history for them, but I don't know. The BCS playoff system is going to have themselves a nightmare come when they have to choose the top 4 teams this year.
I don't know. I mean, it should be exciting, though. I know that we talk about the Power 5 conferences, and that leads into our next topic here. We saw the Badgers against Northwestern, and really the whole Big Ten is, I call it sketch at the beginning of the year, but Wisconsin goes down to Northwestern. Northwestern definitely not the most impressive teams in the country. I mean, what do we take away? I mean, why did the Badgers stink? We can start with Matt.
I think they stink because they don't have a quarterback. Tanner McAvoy, you know, he's been running the option pretty well this season to start with, but he can't throw. Joel Stave comes in, throws 3 interceptions. I mean, I was ready for Stave to take over just because I thought he could throw a little better than McAvoy, but he proved he couldn't. You know, the Badgers went 12 for 29 as a quarterback, 4 interceptions. Both QBs sucked. Melvin Gordon had a career day, 27 rushes for career high 259 yards. And only 1 touchdown. That's the thing that kind of sucked. He didn't find the end zone enough. But, I mean, there's been talks about trying to move McAvoy to wide receiver, hopefully, because the wide receivers only had 4 catches in this game, and it only came by Kenzel Doe. And, you know, Gary Anderson talked this week in media that he's going to try using a 2 QB system this week, and I don't think it's going to work. But
Scott, quick thoughts on Badgers thinking?
I have to agree. It's the quarterback is the issue at hand. Maybe give Bart Houston a shot.
All right, well, we'll go ahead and take a break now. We'll be right back with more topics and more discussion right after this.
Meet Tink. Oh wait, meet Khaleesi. These are 2 little kittens who need lots of toys and places to explore. Meet Koda. He's a strong male Siberian husky of 6 years. He's house-trained, and he loves children. This is Trent. While he spends much of his time out on adventure, he also makes time to show you his affectionate side. To find out more about adoption for these pets or others, contact the Cooley Region Humane Society at 781-4014.
All right, welcome back to Sports Scene 2.0. We had some really good conversation on our previous topics, and we got to take a look at our scores right now. Everyone's been doing a good job, but we have Scott in the lead, and hopefully we can see if Matt and Brady can make a comeback here.
I'm coming for you.
Yeah, they're coming for you, Scott. So, I mean, we can start with, as you can see, the scores there. We can start, our next topic is the NBA season, right? And so many storylines going into the year. We have players coming back from injury. We have players returning back to hometowns or not signing with potential free agent suitors. I mean, talk about some of your number one storyline going into this season. We can start with you, Scott.
For me, it's definitely Kobe coming back. He went out of the season very early last year and didn't play hardly any games. And he has the largest contract of any NBA player right now at $23.5 million. He's also 36 years old. So the question is, can he really live up to that contract? Can he live up to what he's done in the past? So that's my main concern and the story for this season.
Matt?
I got another injury. I got Derrick Rose coming back this season. You know, guy essentially hasn't played in almost 2 years finally made some competitive basketball, played some competitive basketball again this summer in the FIBA World Champions. Showed a couple glimpses of the old Derrick Rose from his MVP season a few years ago. And I think, for Chicago to compete, signing Pau Gasol is huge. So they have Pau, Noah, and a healthy D Rose. The D Rose needs to be healthy, and the Bulls could be right there as a top competitor in the East.
I like the sounds of that.
For me, it's the obvious story that's been left out so far. It's LeBron James. Not LeBron James and the Cavs, but it's LeBron James. I think the whole story about him losing weight, never mind. We're moving on.
Well, I mean, he did lose
It's
weight as
LeBron
well.
James. It's LeBron James.
And LeBron James,
That's
of
number
course,
one story.
and a new and improved Cavaliers roster there. Moving on to a team also in the Midwest next to Cleveland and Chicago, as we mentioned, we got the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, the Milwaukee Bucks were 15 and 67 last year. Not very impressive. I know some of my colleagues here think that the Bucks might have a chance. I mean, what are the realistic chances with some of the additions that the Bucks have made that they can actually sneak into the East playoffs here? We'll start with you, Brady.
For me, I guess I'm one of those people who believe in the Bucks. I think they got the right type of players to actually make obviously not a run at a championship or anything like that, but at a run for, I guess, maybe an 8 seed in the playoffs. I think they have really good players with Giannis and Jabari, and I think they can surprise a lot of people this year, and I think they might make it in the playoffs.
I don't think there's a lot of hope for Milwaukee. They're over-under right now in Vegas is 24.5. I'm going under. Brandon Knight led the team in scoring last year. O.J. Mayo needs to be that top scorer, I think. He needs to be healthy, which nobody on the Bucks was last year. Larry Sanders needs to develop an offensive game, which he doesn't have, as good as a shot blocker he is. And Giannis needs to grow as a player. I mean, he only averaged 6 points a game last year, 41%, 34% from beyond the arc. He played like a rookie and played like a young kid. He needs to make leaps and bounds in the second year now.
Yeah, not much hope for me as well for the Bucks. I think we'll do a little bit better. Jabari Parker is a nice addition. I think he'll really help our offensive game, but can't really do that much better after coming off a season of 15 and 67. My hope and expectations for this season is at least being 16 and 66. So.
Nowhere to go but up.
I mean, a lot of people are excited about the drafting of Jabari Parker. Yeah. I mean, did you feel that he was the best talent in that draft? Do you like the pick?
I personally love the pick. I think he's a better scorer than Andrew Wiggins was. I think he's going to help the Bucks tremendously.
I do. I agree. I think he was the best pick right there at 2. I mean, I like Wiggins. I think Wiggins is a little higher upside than Jabari, but I think Jabari is a little more NBA ready right now to be able to compete physicality-wise than Andrew Wiggins was. And because, I mean, there's a lot of bruising going around in the NBA, so, I mean, he's going to battle down low.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. NBA ready.
MVP prediction. Moving from the Milwaukee Bucks, I don't really see anybody on their team that really has a chance at this, but we do have some very, very, very talented players in the league that are coming back and may have even more impressive years than they did last year. Who are your MVP predictions for the 2014-2015 NBA season? Scott?
For me, it's LeBron James. He's consistent from year to year. And he has a lot to show coming back to Cleveland. He has a lot to prove to the Cleveland fans that he truly is meant to be in Cleveland. I think it's LeBron James, definitely.
I think it's LeBron, too, because he is, put up numbers every year no matter who he plays with. And this year he gets Kyrie Irving, who's one of the best young point guards in the NBA, Kevin Love, who's better than Chris Bosh in pretty much about every aspect of the game. And he's coming home to Cleveland. He has something to prove, especially he wants to bring home a championship to Cleveland, who hasn't won a major championship since 1964. And I think he just has a lot more to prove, and that's going to take him winning an MVP this year.
I guess I'm beating a dead horse. I got LeBron James, too. I think the only way the Cavs have the season that they should is if LeBron puts up an MVP-type season. I think he's going to carry the team to the playoffs, through the playoffs, and into the NBA Finals this year. So
everyone likes LeBron James, and it's interesting to note that LeBron never in his career has really had a legitimate point guard, especially to the likes of a Kyrie Irving. Even some of the greats, Michael Jordan never really even had a point guard either. So this could be very beneficial this year to have Kyrie Irving, even though Kyrie Irving has had his detractors over the year.
I mean, especially last time since he was in Cleveland, he basically did it all by himself. That was the only reason he ever didn't win a championship. He didn't have a backup. He didn't have a backup for anybody, so he was doing it by himself.
I mean, we're all LeBron here, but there's nobody else you could. I mean, no KD, no D Rose in the comeback. What a storyline that could be.
That would be amazing, but I don't think it's going to happen. I mean, I can see KD, but
I mean,
I'm picking
like
LeBron. I'm going with the safe pick. Well, you're a Bulls fan, so.
All right, so everyone's on board with LeBron, and moving on. Speaking of LeBron, you're taking LeBron to take the Cavs with Kyrie and company and Kevin Love all the way to the finals. So I must ask, who are you taking in the finals matchup? One team from the West and one team from the East. We can start with Matt.
From the East, I'm going to the Cavs. LeBron, as long as you have LeBron, you're going to contend for the title. Adding Kyrie and Kevin Love just make that team that much stronger. They have a lot of young talent, Deion Waiters, Tristan Thompson. And for the West, I hate to pick against them, so that's why I'm picking them, is the San Antonio Spurs. Greg Popovich, Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili, the ageless wonders. I mean, every year I think they're done and they're old, and they just keep proving me wrong and just being there the past 2 years now. And so I can't pick against them right now, so I have to go with the Spurs from the West.
Scott?
I'm going to have to pick the Spurs winning the finals as well against Cleveland. I mean, they're the same team pretty much that they were last year. They still got Greg Popovich leading the team, and they just tore apart the Heat last year. But it will be interesting to see them play if Cleveland gets there as well, because Cleveland now is Kevin Love, a little bit of bigger man. That's something that the Heat never truly had. I think that will create a good matchup for finals.
All right, well, again, I got the same finals, but the reason I'm picking the Spurs is because I don't want them to win, and usually when I don't want them to win, they win. So that's the only reason I'm picking them to actually be in the finals this year. What I would like to see, though, I would like to see a Cavs-Clippers matchup. I think that would be really awesome. Just the athleticism of the Clippers versus LeBron and the Cavs. I think that would be something really interesting to watch. But for me, I have the Cavs and the Clippers, the Cavs and the Spurs, and I have the Cavs winning it all this year.
All right, well, I mean, of course, I'm going to go ahead and take the Bulls, playing the Bulls. But do we have any sleeper picks, though? Everyone has some pretty consensus picks for the finals here. Any sleeper picks that might have a chance to sneak in there that nobody was really expecting?
I got one from the West, and that's the Dallas Mavericks. Last year I think they're the 8 seed and almost upset the 1 seed last year. And, they signed Tyson Chandler in the offseason, and they signed Chandler Parsons. So they have Monte Ellis, Chandler Parsons, Dirk Nowitzki, and Tyson Chandler, 4 of their 5 starters. That's a really solid lineup right there that could really cause a lot of damage, I think, come playoff time, especially in an open West.
Brady?
I don't know. I guess for me, a surprise team, I can see the Washington Wizards making some noise in the playoffs. They got in Paul Pierce now. They had John Wall. They had Bradley Beal. That team can score and they can compete with almost any team in the NBA. And I think if they do what they have to do, they can actually surprise a lot of people this year.
As always, the Thunder, Kevin Durant is always a player to watch.
All right, of course. And we'll come back with our last word right after this break.
Hey, can't find what you're looking for?
What?
You can find what you're looking for and more at WMCM. WMCM TV has plenty of shows you can view at your pleasure. There's Profile, where we interview people throughout the community. Or if you like sports, we have Sports Talk Live and Sports Scene. And if you're into celebrity gossip, that's why we have Afternoon Delight.
Well, that all looks great, but I'm on a computer, not a TV. I bet you guys don't have a way for me to watch this stuff on a computer.
Oh, we have that covered too. Just go to WMCMTV.com for all the updates.
Wow, that solves all my problems. Thanks, WMCM Genie.
Welcome back to Sports Scene 2.0. Our next segment is our last word, and our topic for today is the recent news that Michael Phelps was suspended for 6 months by USA Swimming for being charged with a DUI outside of his hometown in Baltimore, Maryland. So I must ask, did the punishment really fit the crime? What are your thoughts about the happenings with Michael Phelps? Brady?
I guess it seems a little harsh, but I can understand why they suspended him the way they did. It's his second DUI. They're not very close together, but it's his second DUI nonetheless. So I think the punishment, I can see why they did it. I think he could have been suspended a little bit less, but I see why they did it.
I think it should be a little longer than 6 months. I mean, I guess I really don't know how long that is in terms of swimming, how many meets he'll miss or whatever. But I know he won't be on next year's U.S. team at the World Champions, which, I mean, is a huge loss because, I mean, it's Michael Phelps. He's the greatest Olympian ever. But it's almost not surprising either. I mean, he has the one DUI, and he's also had pictures with him hitting the ball and, ripping the ganj. And, the guy likes to have fun and likes to party. I mean, he's not an old guy by any means. He just wants to have a little fun. Obviously he's Michael Phelps, and he should not be drinking and driving. Nobody ever should. But I just don't understand why famous people get caught with DUIs. You have all the money in the world. Just call someone else up to taxi or anything.
That's true.
Scott?
Yeah, I think he's deserving, if not more. Like these guys said, it's his second DUI. When do you learn? He had pictures with him smoking a bong. So every bit deserving of this suspension, if not more. It shows that just because he's a champion swimmer, he doesn't deserve special treatment.
I mean, certainly it is a troubling trend, and Matt brings up a really good point. I mean, at this point, you're making all this money. I mean, you're so successful. You're returning from retirement. I mean, I thought Michael Phelps was done. He comes back, and, you have a pedestal here, and you have to be able to take care of it as well. And you have to understand the types of risks that you can and cannot take. So, very good point.
I think it's his own. Obviously it's his own fault, and nothing more he can do about it.
All right. Well, everyone did a very, very good job. Now, our winner for the day, Matt Gutzman. Very good job. You receive our FaceTime for Sports Scene 2.0. We'll give you 30 seconds to rant about whatever you got for today.
Well, my rant is going to be about Richard Sherman, saying he's the best cornerback in the game. Comes out after last night's game and says Pierre Garçon doesn't matter. Pierre Garçon's a pretty good wide receiver in this league. Coming from a D3 college in Mount Union, the guy's good. And you know what, Richard? I know you're probably sitting at home watching this right now. Why didn't you go out there and guard Deshaun Jackson? 5 receptions, 157 yards, touchdown, absolutely destroyed the Legion of Boone by himself. Richard, you sit on one side of the field. You don't cover the best receiver every game, every play. Just stop talking. You talk too much.
All right. Thanks for that piece, Matt Gutzman. And that will conclude our show for today. Thank you, everyone, for listening in. My name is Kalon Bell, and this has been Brady Mollon, Matt Gutzman, and Scott Dellemann, 3 of the finest analysts, as I've said before. And I appreciate, certainly, you tuning in, and tune in next Tuesday for another edition. So stay classy, lacrosse, and have a good day.